Do you ever feel nervous about how to address someone correctly in Italian? Should you say lei or should you say tu? Now, mastering this subtle distinction is crucial if you want to sound polite and culturally aware in Italian conversations. Now, whether you're at a business meeting or meeting your partner's grandparents for the first time, using the right form of you in Italian can make all the difference. In this lesson, I'll break down the rules for using the formal lei and informal tu in Italian. You'll learn when to use each one, how to handle tricky situations, and even how to transition from formal to informal speech gracefully. And by the end, you'll feel confident navigating any conversation in Italian. But there's one thing. Did you know that lei can mean both you and she, depending on the context? Stick around and I'll show you how to never mix them up again. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. To help you to practice everything you're about to learn here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description box below this video. Pronti? Are you ready? Iniziamo! Let's get started. So why does the formal you in Italian exist? Historically, the Italian language relied solely on the informal pronoun tu, meaning you, a simple and democratic way of addressing everyone, from friends to emperors. But this changed with Emperor Diocletian, who introduced a new political system with 4 leaders, shifting the power dynamics. That's when the formal pronoun voi, also meaning you, emerged as a way of showing respect to this elite group. Fast forward to the Middle Ages, and the Italians were primarily using the informal tu and the formal voi. This distinction is well captured in Dante's Divine Comedy, where he switches between tu for friends and voi for authority figures. Then in the 16th and 17th centuries, influenced by Spanish culture, the formal lei made its debut. The Spanish had this neat way of using the third person singular as a polite form, which Italians adopted, making lei the preferred method for conveying respect. During the fascist era, Benito Mussolini sought to eliminate foreign influences from the Italian language, so he banned lei and promoted voi instead. After all, lei with its feminine sound did not align with his vision of rugged Italian masculinity. But fascism eventually fell and linguistic norms shifted once more. Voi gradually diminished in usage and lei was reinstated as the predominant formal address across Italy, as it still remains today. So when do we use the formal you in Italian? The formal you in Italian is represented by the third person singular pronoun lei. This means that possessive adjectives and pronouns associated with the formal address will also follow the third person singular form. Take a look.
Signora Anna, ho visto suo padre ieri. È ancora in gamba. Lei come sta?
Miss Anna, I saw your father yesterday. He's still going strong. How are you? Now, to learn more about Italian possessive adjectives, watch my video lesson right here. And if you want to learn more about Italian pronouns, make sure you watch this video lesson here. Now, understanding when to use tu and lei in Italian is not that difficult if you follow these simple guidelines. You use lei when you're talking to someone you don't know or who's from an older generation. The person you're speaking to holds a position of authority, like a police officer, a professor, a doctor, or your boss. You use tu when chatting with family and friends. You use it to talk to someone who's about the same age as you, like a stranger on the street from your home asking for directions. You also use it when engaging with your peers, such as a colleague or a classmate. Now here's a golden rule. If you're unsure whether to use tu or lei, it's always safer to opt for lei. The worst that can happen is that you make someone feel a little bit older, but at least you won't come across as too casual in a serious situation. Take a look at these examples. Informal.
Come stai?
Formal.
Come sta?
How are you?
Hai bisogno di qualcosa? Ha bisogno di qualcosa?
Do you need anything?
Che cosa prendi? Che cosa prende?
What will you have?
Sai a che ora passa il prossimo autobus? Sa a che ora passa il prossimo autobus?
Do you know what time the next bus arrives?
Puoi dirmi l'ora, per favore? Può dirmi l'ora, per favore?
Could you tell me the time, please? When you use lei, the verb mood stays the same. You just need to switch the conjugation to the third person singular form. But if you want to make a request or encourage someone to do something in a formal way, you'll have to resort to the subjunctive mood. That's because the formal imperative in Italian is the same as the present subjunctive form. Here are some examples to make this clearer. Informal,
Entra pure.
formal,
Entri pure.
come in,
Chiudi la porta, per favore. Chiuda la porta, per favore.
please close the door,
Non portare nulla. Non porti nulla.
don't bring anything. Now, to learn how and when to use the subjunctive in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. And if you're enjoying this lesson, don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. So what's the difference between lei with a capital L and lei without it? Now, when studying the formal you in Italian, it's easy to mix up lei and lei, since they look and sound exactly the same. However, they have totally different meanings. Lei with a capital L is the formal way to say you. Lei with a lowercase l means she and is used when you're chatting about a female person without talking to her directly. But don't stress, with a little practice you'll be able to tell them apart in no time. Just keep an eye on the context. Here are a couple of examples to help.
Venezia è splendida. Lei ci è mai stata?
Venice is beautiful. Have you ever been there? In this case, you're using lei to politely address the person you're talking to, perhaps because she is an elderly lady or your boss.
Venezia è splendida. Sai se lei ci è stata?
Venice is beautiful. Do you know if she has been there? Here you're talking about a female individual without addressing her directly. Let's take a look at the plural form of the formal you in Italian. Now, when chatting with a group of people in a formal setting, you'll need to switch from lei to voi, which is the plural of the formal you in Italian. It looks and behaves exactly like the standard plural you, making it much simpler to use. For instance, if you're at a restaurant, the waiter might greet you and your guests with
Buongiorno, signore. Cosa desiderate ordinare?
"Good morning, ladies. What would you like to order?" Another option for addressing a group formally is using loro, which involves using the third person plural form of verbs. However, this one is a bit more formal and is typically reserved for specific polite expressions in luxury establishments, such as,
Desiderano?
"What would you like?"
I signori cosa prendono?
"Gentlemen, what will you have?" Should lei be capitalized? Now, you may have noticed that lei is sometimes capitalized and other times written in lowercase. Traditionally, lei is capitalized to distinguish it from the third person pronoun lei, meaning she. However, many Italians nowadays prefer to write it in lowercase, viewing the uppercase form as somewhat old-fashioned. That said, the uppercase lei is still commonly used in formal correspondence and official documents. Now, whether you choose to use lei with the capital or lei lowercase, the most important thing is to maintain consistency throughout your writing. If you decide to capitalize lei, ensure that you do the same for all related words, such as pronouns and adjectives referring to the person you are addressing. Here's an example of how a formal letter might look.
Egregio dottor Bianchi. Le scrivo per informarla che sto organizzando un nuovo corso di specializzazione sul web marketing e sarei onorata di poter contare sulla sua partecipazione in qualità di docente. Resto in attesa di una sua gentile risposta e nel frattempo le porgo i miei più cordiali saluti.
Notice that not only is lei capitalized, but also la, the direct object pronoun, sua, the possessive adjective, and le, the indirect object pronoun, all of which are associated with the formal you. Now, to learn more about the nuances of writing in Italian, you can watch my video lesson here on how to write a letter in Italian. It covers everything from greetings to closings, ensuring your writing stands out. Now, another question you might have is the formal lei also used for men? At first, it might seem a bit strange to use a word that literally means she when addressing a man. But in polite and formal Italian, lei is used both for men and for women. For example,
Posso invitarla a pranzo, signora Maria?
may I invite you to lunch, Miss Maria?
Posso invitarla a pranzo, signor Carlo?
May I invite you to lunch, Mr. Carlo? Notice that in both cases, we use the direct object pronoun for the third person singular feminine, la, to address the person, even though one is a man and the other is a woman. However, when we use adjectives or past participles, things change a bit and we need to pay attention to the gender of the person we're speaking to. Take a look at these examples.
Signora Maria, è mai stata a Roma?
Miss Maria, have you ever been to Rome? Here we use the feminine form of the past participle stata for been because we are talking to a woman.
Signor Carlo, è mai stato a Roma?
Mr. Carlo, have you ever been to Rome? Here we switch to the masculine form of the past participle to stato because Carlo is a man.
Signora, lei è davvero brava con i bambini.
Ma'am, you are really good with children. Brava is in the feminine form because we're speaking to a woman.
Signore, lei è davvero bravo con i bambini.
Sir, you are really good with children. Bravo is in the masculine form because we're speaking to a man. Attenzione! If we use the unstressed pronoun la, the past participle can be used in the feminine form even when addressing a man. Take a look.
Dottoressa, ieri l'ho vista al supermercato.
Doctor, I saw you at the supermarket yesterday. This is to address a female.
Dottore, ieri l'ho vista al supermercato.
Doctor, I saw you at the supermarket yesterday. This is used when addressing a male doctor. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. Now let's take a look at the pronouns la and le in formal speech. Le is the polite subject pronoun, but when it functions as an object in a sentence, we must switch to the pronouns la and le. La is the formal direct object pronoun. For example,
Signor Enzo, la saluto.
Mr. Enzo, goodbye.
Anna, la ringrazio per il bellissimo pensiero.
Anna, thank you for the lovely thought. Le is the formal indirect object pronoun. For example,
Dottore, quanto le devo?
Doctor, how much do I owe you?
Perfetto, Carla. Le mando subito un'email.
Perfect, Carla. I'll send you an email right away. Attenzione! Pronouns are generally placed before the verb. However, when the verb is in the infinitive form, you can either place the pronoun before the verb or attach it to the end of the infinitive. Take a look.
Signora, la volevo ringraziare.
Madam, I wanted to thank you.
Signora, volevo ringraziarla.
Madam, I wanted to thank you. Now, to learn all Italian pronouns, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Now let's take a look at switching from formal speech to informal speech in Italian. Now, in many social situations, you may start a conversation using formal speech, but as the conversation progresses, you may become friendlier and more relaxed. It's perfectly acceptable at this point to switch to a more informal style. If you want to suggest this switch, here are some friendly phrases that you can use.
Diamoci del tu.
Let's use the informal you with each other.
Mi dia del tu.
Please use the informal you with me.
Può darmi del tu.
You can use the informal you with me.
Possiamo darci del tu se vuole.
You can switch to informal you if you like.
Posso darle del tu?
May I use the informal you with you? And if a child approaches you with a stiff lei and makes you feel ancient, just throw a little humor their way by saying,
Puoi darmi del tu? Non sono così vecchio, vecchia.
You can use the informal you with me. I'm not that old. Now, is using the formal you in Italian becoming obsolete? Now, some might say that the formal way of addressing someone in Italian is becoming less common, but that's not quite the case. Now, you might bump into a relaxed salesperson or a super friendly waiter who jumps straight into the informal tu, but these instances are more the exception than the rule. In reality, the lei form is still very much alive in everyday conversations, especially in professional settings or when meeting someone for the first time. It shows respect and helps make a good impression. Additionally, in some parts of Italy, especially in the southern regions like Calabria, Campania, and in Sicily, the voi form is still in use. Therefore, it's essential to familiarize yourself with both the formal and informal ways of saying you in Italian, so you can feel more confident and at ease when speaking the language. And to continue your learning and to help you practice, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. And if you enjoyed this lesson, don't miss my lesson on how to cheat your way to fluency using modal verbs. You can do that right here. Plus, if you want to master Italian word order and sentence structure, make sure you watch this video lesson right here. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more video lessons like this one. Until next time, un abbraccio, ciao!